Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this round six of season 13 of Monday Night Lights. Tonight, coming to you live from Sonoma in the US. We're at the Cup layout tonight, which doesn't seem to have drawn our biggest crowd all week, I have to say. The participation here this week's been pretty light on, although there's been a big race or two around the joint. And of course, the premier event, as we all know, here each week on Monday Night Lights has drawn out a good crowd once again, and looking forward to a fantastic race. I'm your host, Alex McKellar, and joining me tonight once again is the Golden Stig, aka Mr. Tim Awema. Tim, big night of racing ahead.
Yes, Alex. Well, isn't this going to be an interesting night? We've drawn a field of 19 tonight. We're varying from different ends of the spectrum of I rating. We're up there with 5,344 with our friend Bill Fraser, bringing car number one down to our lowest competitor, Senjorn Yoon from the Asia Club with 565. So it just shows that Sonoma hasn't brought out the big players today, but we are going to be in for a cracker of a race.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's one of the fascinating things about iRacing. Some tracks have their appeal, and others, they don't. I guess is ultimately, and drivers are pretty fickle like that. They like the ones they like, and they don't like the other ones. Now, personally, I quite enjoy this layout. I had a race here earlier in the week and thoroughly enjoyed myself. So, but as you say, we've got the broad spectrum here of racing or racers as they start completing their laps for qualification. I'll just pull up where we're at so far. We've got Ben Snell currently sitting in provisional pole. I might bring up Ben on screen at the moment. But one thing I do like about a single split race, Tim, is that we do get to see the full spectrum, and more importantly, every single one of our ANZ club members and MNL regulars get their chance to shine, because it's one in all in tonight, folks. Everyone who showed up to have a race is getting one out here, and everyone hopefully gets a bit of their mug on the telly. So interesting to see the disparity between the top end of town and the likes of Kevin Henderson, who's just jumped to provisional pole, and as we grab a picture of Kevin now, turning his laps, and the likes of Ben Snell and Russell Clark. He's a team, the sole Team Milo representative here tonight, and he's representing the local club, and right up to Bill Fraser, who of course has been doing fantastically well, and must be said, car plate number one, probably odds on to take it out tonight, wouldn't you say, Tim?
Yeah, exactly right. And look, with fields like this, it really does bring in a bit of an exciting race because you will have the back markers as they come around. And I know some of the junior guys in the league, the D class licensed drivers that are just making their way up, and probably their first couple of races in the Skip Barbers. Look, they will make for a challenging race for the lead drivers, but it's good and exciting to have these young guys out there and mixing it up with potentially Bill Frasers and the Ben Snells and Kevin Hendersons of the regular M&Ls.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, a chance to rub shoulders and maybe pick up some tips from these quicker guys, which is great to see. And that's one of the actually the better elements of when we have low numbers in splits during the week, is you get exposure to a broader range of guys and have a bit of fun, and possibly learn quite a bit too. I know if I get the chance to race with some of the really fast guys, as long as I can hang on to them, is as long as I'm learning. So, as we watch Bill Fraser now coming around for his final quali lap, he, of course, is leading provisionally, and he's out by about 4 tenths. Good drive from Ben Snell there to hang on to just a 4 tenths differential, although you can see what Bill Fraser can do here with his final lap of quali. He's done a 1:23.6 compared to a 24 dead to Ben Snell. What's he done this time? He's done a 23.9, so he hasn't been able to improve, interestingly enough, and just sits now I think it was 4 tenths, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 4 tenths off Ben Snell. Kevin Henderson, just the 5 tenths. Great lap from Kevin. He's provisionally, with just 2 minutes to go now, or just under, in third, and I'd suggest most of the guys have done their laps. It'll be interesting to see how if Kevin can hang on to P3. So we grab a look at Simon Chambers, who runs the Australasian Super Skips. Wearing an interesting livery tonight. Might have a bit of a closer look at that if we can during the race. Not the livery I've seen him in before, but great to see Simon getting his run in the top split and getting his mug on the box, so to speak, Tim.
Yeah, exactly. I was just looking at Simon's livery. It looks like he's running the Shell V Power, if I've got that right. And yeah, that is a bit of a first for Simon. He normally has his little livery that he normally runs, but it's always good for a change. But yeah, look, as they're finalising these last laps in the quali, it's quite interesting. I'm looking at the times, and as you said, Bill Fraser sets an astonishing time of 1:23.6, and down to our last driver to set an actual time, which was our Senyon. I'm sorry for the pronunciation. It's Senjon Yun at a 1:27.5, so about 4 seconds off the pace. So it makes for interesting race, as I said before.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it looks like everyone's done with their quali lap, so we might just run through our field quickly. Of course, Bill Fraser, as we mentioned, sitting in pole position, returning season champion with setting a 1:23.6. Ben Snell leading the local club charge in P2 with the 24 dead. Kevin Henderson not far behind there in P3. Brad Parkin, great to see Brad up this close to the pointy end of the field in P4. P5 is Carlos Feno from Iberia. P6 similarly is Marcos Matamoros with a 24/7. Jason Willman, a rare occasion that he has set a quality time this season and in seasons recent gone, sitting in P7. Interesting to see what he does tonight there. Russell Clark, Team Milo representative in P8. P9 is Blake Lee Danher from ANZ Club. Great to see another local boy out there. P10, rounding out your top 10, Matthew Kingsley from ANZ as well. Jason Browers, another local boy in P11. Mick Gray, great to see Mick starting out in the points tonight. Canny Racer, great to see where he can go from P12 tonight. Simon Chambers, as we mentioned, Australasian Super Skips founder in P13. Morgan Elgard Rasmussen from Scandinavia, he's in P14 tonight, starting from P15. Looks like the lone Team Venom racer, if I'm not mistaken, Mark Jeffrey. I missed one there. Sorry. P16 was Anthony Moore, of course. Sorry, Anthony. It's not often he gets to the top split. I just skipped over him. Pedro Pereira from France in P17. P18, as you mentioned, Sen Jong Yun. P19, and rounding out our field tonight is Oscar Fortes from Iberia. Just quickly, if the guys will let me just have a look quickly at the race info. We're at Sonoma, of course, 17 laps around here, around the 54k mark, as we always tend to see. Track temp, the key point there, 41 degrees, so quite a hot one. Interesting to see how the guys deal with that, Tim. As the lights come on, the engine notes rise, and the red light is on, and we're away for the start of this round 6 of the Monday Night Lights. The guys doing 17 laps around here tonight, or 16 once they all cross the line. I think it's 17 actually, as they run up the hill. Ben Snell putting a great side-by-side display on here, trying to get in front of Bill Fraser early on, I should say. Perhaps he figures his best chance is from in front rather than behind, and Ben loves putting on a good show on Monday Night Lights, Tim.
Yeah, exactly right. And as they settle down, as we come up to the back portion of the track here, it looks like I think we're in 4A heading. Oh, geez, Ben Snell really got it sideways as he went around there. As we come up to 7A, interesting sort of settlement down as they get used to the track, and Bill's just driving his normal fast pace, and Ben Snell and Kevin Sanderson just hanging in to make up our top 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason Willman also coming around the into the chute there, or I think it's called the chute, I should say. Get my thing back up. No, it was down into turn 7. Interesting numbering scheme here, but anyway, Jason Willman, of course, sending it wide, as well as we see Carlos Feno also come wide there as he approach the run into this tight hairpin, double apex almost, very tight hairpin there at turn 11 as they come to round out lap 1. Exciting racing ahead, I think. This group staying together. Another sort of trademark of single split racing is we often see the field quite spread out, or two distinct races even, with the guys up the front and the guys usually in the second split or the third even on some occasions, sort of having a race unto themselves. So fantastic to see this group up front sticking together and hopefully putting on a good show for us tonight, Tim.
Yeah, that's right, Alex. And I think we've missed a bit of the action, and I can't tell you where it's happened. I'm on board with Simon, and he hasn't got his look, front bar and the front nose cone of the car. And we've also looks like we've lost Mark Jeffrey and Mick Gray, who are currently in the pits.
Yeah, I'm just trying to grab the incident with Simon there. I don't really see. I mean, I've gone all the way back to the start almost there, and I'm still trying to spot where he lost his nose cone. But 2 by 2, the guys did really well there at the start by the looks. But he's come a cropper somewhere, and I know our favourite Sing Jong Yoon he's disconnected actually. Mick Gray. And if I've said it before, if he'd had any kind of luck, it'd be bad. But no, I can't quite capture that incident with Simon. I'll try and I'll catch it later in the race as we return now to live pictures, folks. Up the front, we've got Ben Snell sitting about 8 tenths behind Bill Fraser, and his early tactic of perhaps trying to get in front might have been his best shot. As look, there's a few of them already missing their front wings, Tim, which will of course affect their top end and perhaps a little bit of their turn in as well around here. As this undulating circuit with the high ripple strips taking their toll, or taking its toll on these cars already.
Yeah, exactly right. And look, as we watch, as this race starts to progress, I can really see those times really separate. Bill Fraser's got control of this race at the moment, and he's really holding Ben Snell and Kevin Henderson afar. And just behind that, I think we've got just at the 4 train, we've got Carlos Fenno from Iberia, who's just managed to hold on to Kevin Henderson. And behind that, that's where we start to get a bit of a gap back to Marcus Matamoros.
Yeah, that's right. Just riding on board with the aforementioned Kevin Henderson as he slides it round that sweeping turn 10 on the approach down into the final hairpin. Just showing the nose as he sits in behind Ben Snell here. Nice tight line through there. Ben Snell is just sort of letting the car drift out wide, trying to carry a bit extra corner speed there. Kevin able to hold that tighter line and perhaps draw a bit closer, but maybe compromising his run out, but the draft taking care of that for him as he runs up this hill. Very dramatic changes in elevation at this track, as we're seeing right here. Really difficult to sort of catch the grip at the right time to get the acceleration back or the power back on as you come through some of these corners, because you run the risk of as the suspension gets taken up by the suspension, that the tyres really grip and sort of operate in or give you varying grip levels, particularly over that little bump that we went there. You can really, this car sliding out to the left as they run through there. They get really unsettled as they go over the ripple strip there, but you really want to go that wide to maximise your exit and entry into the following session of corners, but you run the risk of unsettling the car so much that it spins out or collides with that impending wall that approaches very rapidly, I can tell you, Tim.
Yeah, look, and I haven't actually turned a lap here. It looks quite an exciting track to run on, and they're really pushing those track limits at the moment. And look, Kevin Henderson, he's still hesitant to make that move as they come into the hairpin. It looks like he's going to take the inside line and try and get the nice run out of the corner. And I think he's just going to sit behind Ben Snell here and just stay in the 3rd position. Looks like, I had a flicker when I was on Kevin, so I thought his internet might have been playing up. So he's just taking the outside line here, turning inside, and I think, he's holding on to that. He's really pushing the car hard, which is bringing Carlos back into this race.
100%, yeah. It looked like Kevin hit the teleport button there for a second. He was sort of behind, and then he was side by side. But you're right, this fantastic racing that these guys put on. Kevin inside and outside, poking his nose everywhere, trying to get his way past. We know he loves his elbows and out and side by side. Oh, there's a bit of a nudge there. Ben Snell, no stranger to wheel-to-wheel racing. Hopefully he hasn't picked up too much damage there, although the car's looking a little bit second-hand. Is he crabbing there? Or no, he seems to be going okay. Might hop on board in the cockpit here and see if the car's tracking straight. It seems to be okay. One of the funny things about netcode contact, I'm not sure if that was or not, we might grab a look later, is it can leave you with little to no damage, which is kind of interesting part of internet racing, of course. But no, he looks to have got away okay, and Kevin and Carlos now looking to take advantage of that incident with Ben really now coming under attack from Marcos, Russell, and Brad Parkin there on the tail of Russell, the Team Milo representative here tonight, looking to potentially tack onto the back of Ben and make this a six-way battle for P2 as Bill Fraser is out to about a 4-second lead, just dominating this race, Tim.
Yeah, I think Bill's just driving on his vacation to vacation. I think he's just going to relax and just have a nice, easy race. I mean, while the action's happening back in position 2 and 3, which is really tying up these drivers, Bill's just driving away and having a nice, relaxing race. And look, it's well deserved. He got out to that front position and really held on to it. And it was up to the others to hold on to him. And not really battle, but I think the battle crept in, and Kevin Henderson and Ben Snell really started that battle, and it's just shown you really need to hang on to the front pack or the front driver as long as you can.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, mate. My experience here is that it's not really terribly many draft to pass opportunities. Even this long straight that they're coming up on now, as they head through the turn 10 now, down into this hairpin at turn 11. Yes, it's a long straight, but as you see, there was a sweeping corner in the middle of it that you can't remain flat through. So you really can't take too much advantage of the draft into that hairpin, which traditionally would be your best passing opportunity. But of course, here tonight, you only get into fifth gear if you're lucky down that back straight, and so the draft to pass really doesn't work. It's all about, similar to what Kevin was doing there before that incident with Ben Snell, putting pressure on or wherever the opportunity presents itself and see if you can manufacture something. As we see Kevin once again leaning to the rear of the car, do some talking there as he heads up the hill round turn 2, I should say, heading up into 3 and 3A here. Interesting thing about the numbering of these corners, Tim, we're going through turn 3 now, as you're aware. We're heading down into turn 4 here, and interestingly enough, there's several configurations of this track, and in this particular one, they haven't bothered with renaming the corners. We're going from turn 4 straight into turn 7, just to confuse those of home, if not those in the commentary box here. But that's the way it goes, 4 to 7, and then through a series of corners, left, right, left, all combined, known as turn 8. So I don't know what the people were doing here when they made this layout, mate, but it's I don't know whether it's simplifying it or complicating it, mate. What do you reckon?
Oh, it's that California lifestyle, I think, and they were just trying to make it very, very simple for the people that were here at Sonoma. So, look, yes, you are right. It's an interesting numbering system, and if you ran the full track, we would actually go from 3 to 4 and 5, 6. But no, they like to go straight from 4A to 7A, so it's very interesting.
Yeah, that it is. As we ride on board with Carlos Feno from Iberia, who I've not had the pleasure of racing with as yet, as he tucks in behind Kevin Henderson for another lap. He's done raced a really smart race to this point. Hasn't really got involved in any of the battling. Watched it unfold of him in front of him, I should say, with Kevin Henderson and Ben Snell, and really looking to capitalise now as these two are out to about a 1.2. A lot of the curb there at turn 4 on the inside there. That'll unsettle your day quite quickly, particularly if it spits you out into the left and into the wall there. But he's tracking along quite nicely here as he sits in the draft here, perhaps of Kevin Henderson, perhaps looking to take advantage later in the race if he can muster up the speed to really put a challenge on there for the second step on the podium, Tim.
Yeah, exactly right, and I'm really enjoying this race. Although it's spread out, and we've lost a few drivers back at the start with an incident. We might go back later and have a look at it. It's just great to see the battles packs can still be there in second and third, and even if we go back, we've got Ben Snell and we've got Russell Clark, who's trying to make his move up towards Ben Snell, and you got Marcus there still hanging on, so it's really good. And we've had like Oscar Fortes from Iberia, who's moved up 7
Oh, I'm sorry, Tim, I'm going to cut you off. I've just caught a replay of your teammate Mark Jeffrey. I don't know what happened there into the last corner. He ran wide for no particular reason that I could tell, and he's barrel rolled that car about 20 lengths down the straight, mate, which is a pretty rough ending to his second consecutive week in the top split, mate. Sorry to cut you off there, but I thought you might like to get an update on young Mark.
Oh wow, that was yeah, that's a very interesting replay as I'm just watching it on the YouTube there, and that's all right. We'll just take the repairs out of his pay packet.
Well, I think that'll need more than a buff out in the garage there. As we're on board with Kevin Henderson now, he's holding off Carlos Fino. He's holding him at bay at the moment. Carlos looking to be a little bit closer at this stage, I'd have to say, than previous laps. And that's probably the pick of the battle at the moment, other than, as you say, Marcos Matamoros. He's tucked in behind Russell Clark there, who in turn has actually pulled... bridge the gap a little bit between he and Ben Snell. Ben, I'd suggest the early pace that he had has been stifled somewhat by that incident with Kevin Henderson, and tucked in behind them is, well, that group of four, if you could call it that. They're a bit spread out now. Is Brad Parkin, who's just that 1 second in behind Marcos. Brad sitting there in P7. So he's got some work to do. We might just run through our field now as we're over the halfway mark. We've got Bill Fraser sitting comfortably out in front in position one, where he's been the whole race. He's about 5.5 seconds ahead of this battle between Kevin Henderson and Carlos Feno, who's just the 4/10 behind him at this stage. Ben Snell sitting comfortably in fourth position, I should say, just ahead of Russell Clark, who's now right in the draft, the thick of his draft there, just the 6.5 tenths behind. With Marcos Matamoros, as we mentioned before, he's a further 1.1 seconds behind in P6. Brad Parkin, always enjoyed Brad's colourful livery. He's sitting there in P7. Jason Willman, who somewhat, rarely qualified tonight. He's down one position, but he's sitting in P8, looking for a solid points haul tonight. Matthew Kingsley, he's sitting there in P9 from the ANZ club. Jason Brose in P10, car number 12, so he'll be looking to grab some good points here tonight. Simon Chambers, after that earlier moment that we did miss, and sporting the nice and breezy look as we stared out his cockpit and can actually see firsthand what his hands are doing there. He's down in P11. Oscar Fortes in P12 there. Anthony Moore, who I did miss on the grid. I apologise, Anthony, but I certainly won't miss him in that livery. Car number 15 in the bright pink and yellow colours is Anthony Moore in P13.
Sorry, Alex.
Yeah,
we've just lost Kevin Henderson. Kevin Henderson has lost his position. He's crabbing down the track now.
Oh, all right. Let's see if we can't grab an instant replay of that, or if I've... Oh, there it is, folks. He was just given the 1-2 shuffle, beg your pardon, by... Let's see if we can't grab that again. As Carlos was running up, they were running up the hill here, and as we grab a bit of a slow-mo here, Kevin, he seems to have taken a decent line through there. Carlos just potentially misjudging as they came up through turn 2. Seems okay so far. Maybe I've gone back a bit too far. I'm not sure. I must have been into turn 3. Let's have a look here. It's on Kevin. Drop back one if we can. No, I've lost it. Gee, that's camera 101. No, we've missed it. We caught it the first time and it wasn't particularly pretty either time. So that's an unfortunate incident for Kevin, who was doing so well, and he just got a bit of a nudge from behind with Carlos. And I'm sure he won't be thanking him or sending him a Christmas card after that one, Tim. But what that has done is open the door for Ben Snell to come well and truly back into this. Be very interested to see if, without Kevin's draft, Carlos can hold off the fast-charging Ben Snell with Russell Clark. 14 Milo sitting in his toe as well.
Yeah, exactly right. That has changed the dynamics completely in this race, and where Carlos was was playing that the waiting game and sitting with Kevin, he's now got to try and control this second position and really not overdrive it. Just hang it out there, get it nice lines, and hope that Ben Snell can stay back a little bit. But I think Ben's going to sniff the old second position here, and he's going to drive really hard and bring Russell up with him. So it should be an interesting, what have we got, last 4 laps as we come close to the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And poor old Kevin Henderson, he's still tailing around. He's just had another moment there that I might just go back and see if I can catch there as he came up the hill over turn 3 again, I think. Looks to be trying to get past the lapped car in car 18. Oh, and there's just not room for 2 cars there, and he's been spat off into the wall. It is certainly not Kevin's night as he now visits the pits. He didn't pit after that first one, but he certainly made a stop after that second contact. Real dusty night for Kevin, and unfortunately after really putting in their hard yards early on. As we jump back up the front, we're with Carlos again. Ben Snell now sitting just the 5 tenths behind, and really looking to make a hard charge, as you say, with just the balance of 5 laps remaining as they head out towards the back of this circuit now, through turn 10 now. That sweeping right-hander on the approach down into this final hairpin. We know P1 is done and dusted. Bill Fraser, really, this race is his to lose, but who's your pick for the remaining steps on the podium, Tim?
Oh, it's a hard one to pick at the moment. I don't know if we're going to get a Russell Clark come up to either be second or third, or we're just going to finish the way we are. But what we do have is Pedro Pereira. He's just in front of these guys as a back marker. So that could make for some interesting racing as we get a little bit closer. As the guys try to work their way around Pedro, we'll see if he will move over. But he is a fair way up the track, but hopefully he won't cause them too much trouble as they get closer.
Well, yeah, Trouble. I don't know if Trouble's Pedro's middle name, but he was the driver that young Kevin had a moment with just before that sent him into the pits. Well, I think it's he's only had the one trip to the pits, but he's been there a while now. I might hop on board with Ben Snell now as he really closes this gap through these fast, sweeping 4th gear corners at the back here, which combine to form turn 8. If you can believe it, those 3 quarters as we head through turn 9 now into the sweeping right hand. Look at this, he's closing right up there. Probably carried a bit too much speed and wasn't able to get on the power quite as quickly as he likes. Sort of shows the nose in somewhat of a threatening fashion as we see Pedro get right out of the way this time. Perhaps he's learned his lesson. Although, hard to say where the fault wasn't there from the angle that we had. And Ben Snell now, he's 4 tenths behind. See what that looks like from the gearbox of Carlos now. As we look back on Ben Snell, one of many missing his front wing. Look at that, close right up as they go through turn 2 now, up over that hill on the approach to the downhill run, to another uphill into turn 3 and 3A. Sharp it's right-hander, sorry, I'm going backwards now. You've got to be careful not to run wide onto the grass there. Ben looking every bit threatening. Oh, look at him tucked right up underneath there. What a spectacular shot that is. We might just pop back to the broader shot before we lose a few stomachs or dinners at home, Tim.
Oh, exactly. And this is going to, as I said, this is making for an exciting finish. Now, is this battle that we've got here playing for second and third going to play in the favour of Russell Clark, who's just anxiously sitting behind, waiting to find his move? Is he close enough to make the move? Is he just thinking, I'll be happy to sit in 4th position and let these 2 battle out? Or is he going to reap the benefits of a slight tap and come flying through? You never know. As we get closer, the elbows will come out with these races. And, well, the elbows have just come out and Ben's hit every cone going along past the pit lane there.
Yeah, I thought Luke Whitten was the cone thief, but Ben certainly looking to take that title for tonight at least anyway. Really looking to open up that very tight right-hand corner or hairpin at turn 11 here. Now, as they race up again, they've got just the 2 laps remaining now. They've crossed the line for the penultimate time. Or no, 2 laps to go. They've got to go across it one more time for the penultimate time. He's still tucked in behind. It just goes to show how tough it is to find a pass around here because there is draft to keep you in touch and help you bridge the gap, but certainly nothing that'll help you pass. You have to rely on having just that. Oh, look! I tell you what, Carlos once again nudging that apex at turn 4, perhaps more than you would otherwise have tested. Attested to wanting to, and as they race out the back end of this circuit now. But Ben, he's really got to earn his money here tonight. He's certainly got the face for racing, judging by that helmet, or got his race face on, I should say, and looking to bring this one home for the ANZ club tonight.
Yeah, exactly. And look, it's an interesting race. We've now lost. It seems like Brad Parkin is down in 16th position. He's had a stint in the pits. So now we've lost Mark Jeffrey, Senyon Yule, Kevin Henderson potentially, and Brad Parkin down the bottom there, and Mick Gray. So some of the bigger players in the M&L really struggling with this layout, and obviously some other cars. So has made for an interesting night. It's not always that you might come in here as the top driver and expect to take out the race or be up in the top 10. So as we come closer around now, I don't think Russell's got enough to hang on to Ben and Carlos. So it looks like it's going to be Russell in 4th.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way at this point in time, but got all eyes now fixed on Ben Snell and Carlos Fino as they run that wide line again through turn 4, coming down now into turn 7. That's right, folks, 4 to 7, as we said, and riding the curb there. That's not always your best bet here. You might run the softer suspension, although you're limited in the setup of these cars, but you can soften the suspension to cope with the big curbs here a little. But certainly you don't want to ride those big curves too much. Just shows how hard Ben Snell is trying at this point. It'll be interesting to see what he can do. I might hop on board, see if I can't see if he gets a run through turn 10 now, coming down into turn 11, shows the nose, but he's really not close enough, is he? He's right up the inside now, but probably not going to get the drive that he needs, as we might hop on board Bill Fraser now. He's crossed the line and taken it out. Ben Snell now, he's tucked in behind. Carlos Fenner bringing it home in 2nd, with Ben Snell in 3rd, and Russell Clark crossing for 4th, as he said. Marcos Metamoris rounding out Metamoris rounding out your top 5. And really, it really went to show, well, I thought, Tim, at least, what a single split race can have on offer. Quite a bit of action from top to tail in this field tonight, Tim.
Yeah, exactly right, Alex. And look, when we went into this race, we knew there'd be some surprises, and we thought some of the slower guys might have played a bit of an issue, just with driving with some of these more talented drivers. But we lost a few of them at the start. But it was the big name drivers who had made some of their own fortune there, or not so much fortune. But look, it's ended up being a very interesting race, and as we expected, our friend Bill Fraser, I think, took a 9.5-second lead by the end of that race. So that was just a walk in the park for him, and an easy way to earn his 30 points for the night, or probably 31 that he'll get from that one. But look, still good racing. Good to see everyone out on an M&L and enjoying their night out.
Yeah, absolutely. A few of the guys putting on a show towards the end. They're great to see Anthony Moore and Blake Lee Danner race all the way to the line, as we see Brad Parkin now cross to finish off his race a full lap down, unfortunately for Brad. Let's go through our results here, folks. Tonight for round 6, we have Bill Fraser, as we predicted, flag to flag victory, including pole, and I think he might even have the fastest lap, if I'm not mistaken, with a 23.5. Yeah, it looks like he might have had the fastest lap tonight. So he's taken out all honours on offer here tonight. Carlos Fenno, quite an eventful race for him. Patient early, then looking to make a move later in the race, and it all happened around him. Hanging on for P2 behind a hard finishing, Ben Snell, who finished in 3rd to round out your podium. Russell Clark representing Team Milo tonight. He's in P4. Good result for Russell, perhaps one of his stronger ones for the season. Marcos Matamoros, I beg your pardon. He's held on for position 5 from Iberia first visit to Monday Night Lights from Marcos, at least in the top split that I can recall. Jason Willman, after qualifying tonight, I made a big point of it because whilst Jason has been in nearly every Monday Night Lights event ever, he doesn't often qualify, so perhaps fancying his chances tonight and finishing all the way up in 6th. So congratulations to Jason. Matthew Kingsley, new to the top split here on a Monday night in P7. Jason Browers, similarly in P8. Simon D. Chambers with certainly plenty of good ventilation in his car tonight, finishing in P9. And Anthony Moore. Great job, Anthony, there in that lovely livery tonight, finishing in P10. Going over the page now, Blake Lee Danaher finishing just behind, just behind there in P11. Morten Elgard Rasmussen, we didn't see much of him tonight, down a full lap there in P12, but still finishing in the points for Monday Night Lights. Brad Parkin just outside there in P13 after an interesting night for him, but not one that's borne much by way of fruit for him. Pedro Pereira from France in P14. Oscar Fortes in 15th. Mick Gray, like I said, if he had any luck, it'd be bad down there in P16th. Bad luck to Mick. P16, I should say. Bad luck to Mick again. Kevin Henderson, what an eventful race he had. Boom to bust, it might be said, down there in P17, unfortunately for Kevin. Mark Jeffrey, what a moment he had. I wasn't sure what was going on there. Perhaps he had some equipment failure down in P18, and now what was hoping to be our favourite driver of the night, Sen Yong Yoon. He's retired down there in P19, Tim. So, top to tail, that's our field, and how they finished tonight, Tim.
Yeah, and as I said, it was a very interesting race, and there'll be a bit of disappointment there. I'm sure Kevin will be very disappointed with where he's ended up, and especially when he that incident where he was involved in, and then he crabbed around, and before he could get back to the pits, he's had another incident. But look, it's good to see, and it'll be really good for some of those the other D-class drivers that are probably only new to the skippies, and having a good run tonight, and still ending up in 11th and 12th, and even Pedro, I mean, he was involved in an incident, but still finishing 14th, and he'll be, at least they've had that experience of racing with the fast guys tonight.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. We're a bit light on drivers tonight, and we're a bit light on interviews as well. But we do have young Ben Snell sitting in the green room. I might bring Ben up and try to hear a little bit about what was a very eventful race for him. Good evening, Ben. Alex McKellar and Chimawema here in the top split commentary booth, mate. Well, that was quite eventful for you, mate. You were right up there. We're just watching the opening part of the race where you were battling with Bill, and I made the comment that perhaps you were trying to get in front while the getting was good, and then, of course, later in the race had bit of contact in that strong fight that you were having with Kevin. But on the whole, mate, did you enjoy your outing here tonight, and how was the racing?
Yeah, it's great fun. I don't know why Sonoma's so unpopular. It's I've done 4 races this week, and they've all been great racing, close racing, good fun. But people just don't like elevation apparently, unless it's the Nürburgring.
Yeah, perhaps that's what it is. There's, as you say, massive elevation changes, and those bumps certainly got a nudge tonight with several guys missing their front wings. But what did you make of the incident with Kevin, mate? I couldn't catch if there was netcode or not, although I did notice that he was had a bit of internet issues with it disappearing a couple of times just before that. Was it just a matter of netcode, or was there actual contact there, do you think?
Oh, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Kevin's always elbows out, We all know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he disappeared coming across the start finish line and then reappeared next to me. So I wasn't quite ready for him to go 2x2 through turn 1. And then obviously we made it halfway around the track, and then it was either netcode or contact. I haven't really gone and looked back at it yet, but either way, I didn't really get any damage. I just got knocked back and just had to try and make my way back forwards.
Yeah, glad to hear he didn't get any damage. Yeah, I said at the time, it looks like he hit the teleport button and was, as you say, line astern and then side by side. You both did very well to cope with the lines change there. Good reactions there, mate. But look, P3 in the end, I was hoping that you might get a bit more of a look there with Carlos, but it didn't look like the opportunity presented. Am I right in saying, my thoughts on this is that the draft is beneficial to sort of keep in touch, but it doesn't really manufacture any opportunities for overtaking. It's all about pace and what you can do with it and key moments in the race. Is that how you found it?
Oh, definitely. You definitely need a run out of a corner. So, best spot is obviously through that last sweeper, get a better run, and then stick it down the inside into the hairpin. But unfortunately, I didn't get that chance.
Nah, that's right, mate. Well, thanks once again for turning out. Congratulations on your result. Great to see you finish one up near the pointy end, mate. And we look forward to seeing you again next week.
I'll be here.
Excellent. All right.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Ben. Well, there you have it. That was Ben Snell, who, of course, is becoming a real big part of Monday Night Lights, and it's great to see him here week in and week out. We enjoy his style of racing that gets in there, and he's right. Kevin does love a bit of a race here, and he showed that. I mean, he's poking his nose everywhere, and it's great for the viewers at home. Great fun on track, and I know Kevin, apart from the incident that or the couple of incidents that took him out of the race in those early stages, would have been grinning from ear to ear. So big shout out to Kevin for putting on a good display tonight. It was a shame that it ended up the way it did for him, Tim. But overall, mate, despite the low numbers in what we saw tonight, I thought Sonoma really proved out and helped us put on a good display.
Yeah, it did, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, even with the we thought there might be two splits, and we get the smaller split, but to have all those cars on the track was really good tonight. And look, if we can get more next week when we head off to the Circuit of the Americas, which is not another appealing track for people, but we might get the good splits out there next week.
Yeah, look, here's hoping. Mr. Gorkrocher and I misrepresented. We thought Dakota was this week, but it's actually coming up next week. I tell you what, that makes hard work for us, I think, Tim. But no, I would like to give a shout out to many of our Monday Night Light regulars who did come out tonight. We really do appreciate, because we do this for you guys, and it's great to see so many of you coming out and enjoying your racing. Hopefully getting a bit of a kick out of getting that run in the top split, and a number of you picking up good points in the championship overall. It's really going to mix things up this season with regards to what things look like in the standings overall. And speaking of which, I didn't actually grab the standings earlier on tonight. So while we're here, this is what they look like prior to coming into tonight's event, and I'll have the points up later on tonight. Bill Fraser is of course leading, followed by Simon Dopp. Those two are locked in neck and neck last week, but Bill Fraser will be streeting ahead at this stage with tonight's points haul, and Simon did not take the field or the track after no doubt being a bit tuckered out after the 24-hour race this weekend. Kevin Henderson not adding to his points, and Scalzi not here either. So look, this will mix things up. I think Bill will firmly be grasping one hand on the trophy almost as we complete the halfway stage of this season of Monday Night Lights. But hopefully some of the other guys will keep turning up and give him a bit of a run for his money, lest he take out two on the trot, so to speak, and taking the Monday Night Lights world by storm, young Bill Fraser. Well, Tim, that's about where we say goodnight to our folks at home. What's going on in the world of the Golden Stig this week?
The world of the Golden Stig. He hasn't looked at the schedule this week, but he's going to venture out into the dirt. I'm going to try some of this dirt action. I want to do some round and round and round we go on the dirt. So this is going to be a new exciting thing that I'd like to venture into.
Very good. I look forward to seeing how that turns out for you, but I've had a stint or two of those, and they're very tricky animals, indeed. Certainly for me, I've been venturing out a bit differently, and you can check both. Sorry, I was going to say I've been doing a bit of GT3 and Pro Mazda. I love my Pro Mazdas in addition to my weekly tilts in the world of the Skippies. So you can check both Tim and myself out over at Twitch. Tim's over at Robius, ROBIUS_TV over at Twitch, and I'm at the Top Split over at Top Split TV, I should say, over at Twitch as well. So if you're looking for some midweek racing action and a bit of fun along the way, both of us have a band of merry crew people that we have a conversation with, and it's great fun over on Twitch. You can interact live with the people, and it's a lot of fun. So, but until then, folks, I've been your host. And of course, sorry, Monday Night Lights next week. Don't forget, back here, same bat time, same bat channel. But until then, as I say, I've been your host, Alex McKellar, and on behalf of Mr. Tim Awima, I will say ciao for now.